Good morning. This is Stonkington. It's been a little bit since I've put together a video, and the market made a significant move yesterday. So I wanted to cover some of the things that we noted in our Trade Fusion Discord room, as well as a quick recap on some of the things that I use in my own trading. Nothing in this video is meant to be a buy or sell recommendation. Just covering here, how I read price action, and then how I use dark pools to aid in trading futures, which is a bit unique. So I talk a lot in our room that I use price action theory from what I've found to be the most helpful, which is Brooks and some of the concepts from ICT. So today I'm just going to cover some of the things that could have given opportunities using both Brooks and ICT, as well as how to use darkpool even for trading futures. So here we have the NASDAQ. This is actually the price action from Thursday, and we covered this in our Discord channel. So here's just a quick example, not the most amazing resolution on the screenshot, but I'm sharing this out to our room, just kind of showing that we're in this rising channel. We kind of noted as soon as we got to this high, Brooks and a wedge, bears are scaling into shorts as we kind of hit the top of this channel. So here, kind of a cleaner version of this chart. One of the things that I appreciate from Brooks trading is getting the opportunity to look for targets or where is price likely to go. So we discuss this frequently because, in my mind, to have you're trying to look for something that's going to give you an idea of where price might be headed to, and I think it's important. One of his notes is that in a channel like this, often the other extreme of the channel will get tested. And so once we fall out of that channel, and even though we're kind of melting around, we did ultimately end up checking this channel, which was the beginning of a new consolidation the next day on the NASDAQ. So I think that was good. That's a good note, just to kind of be aware when you see a channel whether it's up or down, especially when this is going to be a potential magnet once it breaks. So it's a good Al Brooks lesson that we got to see play out in real time yesterday. And the next one would then be this next setup during the day on Friday, the 21st. So again, posting in our Trade Fusion Discord room, giving the play-by-play, seeing this bear flag start to build out. And you can see the markup here when I'm sharing screenshots. I'm also talking through some of the ICT concepts, fair value gaps marked up on the chart. And so you'll also see I use the Al Brooks 20 EMA. So here's where I'm kind of liking combining the price action theory between Al Brooks and ICT. So we have what Al Brooks would mark up as a bear flag, and I know ICT is not into patterns trading. He looks to fade them, or that's what retail's looking for. I still use pattern trading. So we see this bear flag, and the market's already processed a bunch of data coming out, and that's another good Al Brooks lesson. It's like not trying to figure out what the news is telling you and really just reading the chart. I think that's an important one. And so you can see all these big wicks. It's like the market's trying to figure out what to do with data, and then we start to break down, but we're waiting for a clean setup, which we get in this little bear flag. And then I think what was important, so if you're not into patterns trading, you're not into Al Brooks, you're trying to go ICT style, what was notable here was this small little fair value gap on the 5-minute that would have been the solid little entry spot there. Versus Al Brooks, we're bear flagging under the 20 EMA. Here's a good signal bar where be setting limit orders to short at the bottom of a 5-minute candle closing on its low as it breaks below it. with setting stops at the top of that candle there on the 5 minute. So that was what stood out to me in the price action yesterday, and that's just reading the chart. You can see, that was when this break of this bear flag and then the ICT retest of the small fair value gap was really when things got off to the races to the downside. Now, I mentioned always looking for, as many signals that might help me get into a trade. So we're also watching options flow and dark pool. So what also stood out about yesterday was dark pools coming in, and I have these time stamped. This was from Friday, February 21st, 2025. So if you follow me on Twitter, you'll see daily I post all the dark pool, breaking it out into sectors, and I've been doing this for years, so I know what stands out, what's going to be useful, and what's not. Especially when it comes to indices, there's a lot of dark pool transactions, and you'll see following my Twitter, SPY at the end of any given day could have transactions anywhere between 6, 7, 8% of average 30-day volume, which to me is the most important piece of a dark pool transaction, all the way up to 30% of average 30-day volume in one transaction. And then that kind of tells me, the higher the percentage of average 30-day volume, the more significance that particular transaction might have. And you can see, the reason that I use the percent of average 30-day volume is just based on, for retail traders or someone with a smaller account, it's like if I just told you, there was a $530 million transaction, you're thinking, wow, that's a big number. But in perspective, at the end of the day, if SPY is getting, hundreds of millions of dollars on top of that, 530 million may just be a drop in the bucket and something less significant. But you see how these marked up as useful, less useful, and we'll get into that here. So after tracking these dark pools every day for years at this point, I can see when there's a transaction that is going to have more significance based on the percentage and the fact that it came in real time. So during these timestamps, we'll jump over to the SPY chart here in a moment, but this is the area that SPY is trading in versus at 11 a.m. SPY was already significantly below 609.82. So these become more important due to the percentage of average 30-day volume and coming in real time as SPY is trading in this area. So 606.69, and then what we considered basically a tack on, only 6 cents away at 606.63. So let's jump over to the SPY chart, which I did mark up this line. So that's marked up here in yellow, and you can see, so we saw the second transaction come in at 12:01 market time, which is going to be right in this area here. So SPY is trading just above it at this point in time. And this is that same kind of setup on the NASDAQ, mentioning, using these dark pools can also help a futures trader. So we talk a lot about watching different tickers in our Discord room, where that can give you an additional signal. So whether it's leveraged on an indice or an inverse, we talk a lot about SPXS, SQQQ. So the same applies here, watching a dark pool on SPY where you could be trading SPX or ES. And here, so the transaction comes in 12:01, that was the tack on, and so far the first attempt to break down through this dark pool was a bounce. So we're waiting for this retest, and then when we get this breakdown and it couldn't hold as support, so dark pool, when it first comes in, we don't know if they're buying or selling, and at this point, once we get that clean break and the push, that's our signal that this was a sell, and we're seeing this as resistance, which really then pushed the move off to the races to the downside. So that's just a quick recap on what I saw yesterday and some of the things that we're looking for and have commentary on live in our Discord room. Put the link in the comments. Really appreciate you taking the time to watch, and hope to see you out there trading with us. Thank you.